dude.
How the fuck do painkillers work? You swallow that damn pill, and it drops into your gut, gets broke to shut the hell.
No kid. No kid. You get me?
Chat. Link the one from last time, chat. Well, chat, it's the guy on a bike in New York. Chat, you know what I'm talking about. Come on, bro.
You know how pathetic it makes me feel and emasculated.
I think I'm not talking because I'm probably going to talk to Max in about 10 minutes about this video. Someone in the YouTube chat just said, though, he's very bad at being a dominant. Part of being a top is caring for the submissive. Without getting into Brittany's world of terms, this is a lot of this goes into these like concepts of like masculinity or true dominant personality types. You'll know this from video games if you lead people, or in teams if you lead people, or in sexual relationships if you lead people. It is a leader or an alpha or a dominant or whatever from a movie perspective is like a dude that like does whatever the fuck he wants because he's the fucking Giga Chad. These motherfuckers figure out I'm the leader. I do what the fuck I want. You get in line and you follow, right? This is kind of like the movie or the fictionalized version of a leader. But the true version of the leader, or a dominant in a sexual relationship, or somebody that's in charge of people, the leader has to actually be the biggest bitch. He has to be the most empathetic person because the decisions that he's making are affecting everybody around him, and he needs to be aware, or she needs to be aware of like how these decisions are interfacing with other people. So it is true that it's especially true in BDSM type stuff. Like there are whole terms of like when, you know, aftercare for people in like subspace and all this shit. There are all these things, but even in we can throw all that aside. We don't need to even talk about that. In any type of thing where you're taking charge of another person, or you're kind of like leading the scenario, it's more difficult to lead, not because you're just making decisions for yourself, but because you're making decisions involving the well-being of another person too, and you have to understand what's going through their head as you navigate that space. Yeah.
That I don't get to know if I'm allowed to be in this conversation, if I'm allowed to be making this movie, if I'm allowed to do anything except fuck this corpse.
Yes, I understand. I truly understand. You can clearly see, I think, that I want to provide this for you.
You have to.
We tried BDSM scenes? Never. But power dynamics, I mean, I tend to be naturally a more... No, actually, I just know this. I had a big Eve Corp, okay? I know what I'm talking about.
You have
Again,
to.
you didn't say... No, you didn't.
You have to.
I don't have to.
I need it.
I know.
I need you.
I know.
I need you.
But even just the way you're framing it makes it feel rapey.
It is. That's the problem that's the problem with relationships.
Well, it sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks because I don't do this to you. I don't think.
That's funny. That's rich. I can be warm to you. If you can be vulnerable in a way that is not making me into the bad guy, but if you start throwing me under the bus, and you start making me out to be the abusive psycho, I am going to get very defensive. Can we agree to that?
I don't know. I mean, the problem is that you are making me out to be an abusive psycho. I was not calling you out for anything. I was asking you for fucking clarification.
When things get more explicit,
it is abusive of you to do that.
No, it's not abusive for me to call you abusive, you fucking monster.
Do you ever get bored of submissive women in bed? No. Submissive people are fine. The problem is when somebody uses submissive as a synonym for lazy. Way different things.
I'm asking you. The way you make people think I'm abusive without saying the word abusive or by doing anything explicit. It's a very subtle throwing under the bus, but it's happening. And I know it's happening.
I can't listen to you. I need to take a break.
Can you tell me how much time is left on this?
Is the cat licking something? What is the noise?
I don't think I can do this.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I can do it another day or if I just can't do it.
Okay.
Okay, I just have questions.
A few questions. Yeah.
So, well, I listened to the video of you debating Shaylin on Ever Feelings, of you talking to your girlfriend. It is girlfriend, right? It's not
Just
fiance or-
girlfriend.
Okay, gotcha.
Not yet.
Not yet. And
I could propose to her right now on stream. Wouldn't that be romantic?
maybe
As I defend my abusive behavior.
that would be a good love bomb. The most effective. That's
It
how I
would.
got married to fucking Melina. We had a huge fight. I was like, "Fuck, this bitch is about to run out on me." And I was like, "Melina, I love you. Marry me." And she was like, "Ah,
Nice.
okay." Yeah, that didn't actually happen. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna save this for.
Yeah,
when
you
I
want to say
really
that for
do
a big fight.
it. Yep.
Yeah, so basically, I don't have these organized by topic at all. It was just kind of like things that I was writing down as the video was going. So I'm kind of
Okay.
doing order and time, and not necessarily by topic. All right.
Okay.
I don't know if he does it intentionally, but I think Mr. Girl very much.
Boomers, so everyone knows my streams are not high production. So I'm gonna say that sounds good.
Louis interviewed Nick Fuentes recently. Exposed him. Okay.
Really?
That's what the chat's saying.
Why?
To expose him.
Oh. Nick kind of seems like a troll to me. He seems kind of harmless, like I could beat him up. I don't know. I feel like I could beat you up. I can't take you that seriously.
I think Nick
Jesus.
Fuentes is a
Wow,
Nazi.
Miss
Okay, sorry.
Andri.
The real Nazi?
Yep. I think he's the real.
Ooh, basic. Okay, interesting. Well, no judgment. Have fun.
No judgment about what? Me thinking that?
Maybe
No,
not.
him living his best life.
No judgment about being a Nazi.
I don't know. I don't really know if I believe in Nazis. Like, I think people think they're Nazis.
Do you think that the Holocaust happened?
Yes, of course.
Holy
So I think
shit.
those might have been real Nazis rather than what we have today, which are kind of people who wish they were Nazis.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that they might believe they're really Nazis, but I'm like, okay. I'm like,
It's funny because what I'm about to say applies equally to Mr. Girl and to Brittany. Both of these people will say things at times, and there's only two interpretations. It's either really smart and really insightful, or like just kind of dumb and worthless. There's no in between. Like, there are no real Nazis today. Like, when you say there are no real Nazis, like, what do you mean by that? And it's like, well, people that have actual control of the state, that are willing to enact like a state propaganda and fascist government or regime that can like execute people en masse and that actually adhere to the original guiding principles of like the Aryan master race. Okay, yeah, actually, right. There are no real Nazis. Most Nazis have no idea like what the master race was or anything. Like, it's just people that kind of look like, yeah, sure. Or like, there are no real Nazis. Like, oh, I don't think anybody's like really racist who doesn't like Jews. And it's like, okay, well, which one is it? You know? I don't know.
just
I think that I guess my pushback would be that I don't think real Nazis are that different from normal people, or they are normal people. Even I don't think there's something fundamentally different about the Nazis that made them able to do what they did.
no, I mean humans are gonna human, and I feel like it's a pretty human thing to do.
Okay, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Okay, this is like the biggest interaction thing that I'm very curious about for this conversation is, and I don't know if he does it intentionally, but I think Mr. Girl very much enjoys like saying things to like kind of knock people off kilter, and then when they're off balance, you kind of like push hard. I don't know if you can say something to Brady that's gonna be like, hey, I think Nazis are normal people, because it feels like for a lot of like, yeah, you know, probably. So I'm curious. I'm so curious what the dynamic of this conversation is gonna be. Oh my god. Good luck.
Word. It's a Holocaust.
Yeah, sure. I'm not saying Nick's
So it
not
just
human.
feels like.
I just think he's a.
Yeah, no, I think we're agreeing.
Well, we're agreeing about maybe the facts, but I don't think we're agreeing with how to talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's the meme my Discord has like granted me, which is I see problematic behavior and I go, oh, that's kind of funny, and then everyone else like has a whole like documentary they want to make on it, but I don't know. I'm kind of at this point where I'm like, oh, look at that. It's like phenomenon.
You guys think was Hitler level
Does it
1,
ever feel
guys?
like that to you when you're watching people? A
No.
phenomenon.
No, I feel involved.
Interesting. Do you feel like?
I feel deeply invested in my my fellow man, and I want to stop fascism.
That's a big goal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's achievable. It's more like I want to be on the side of like against fascism. You know,
Sure.
I know.
Doesn't
that
everyone?
Well, no, I mean.
Doesn't everyone kind of think they are against fascism?
Not Richard Spencer. No, I kind of asked him, and he was like.
I thought, isn't Spencer like a liberal now? I think Nick's side, the further right you go, I think that you're gonna run into people that are like, yeah, hey, fascism does what I want to do, and yeah, sure. I don't know if Spencer would, but if he's talking to Spencer, he said it. It feels like Spencer's more just like, kind of like a very racist liberal now, is my understanding today. But, I mean, he's had more recent comments with it than I have, so.
Fascism is fine, I just want to win.
I think a lot of people feel like that. They just want to win, so they don't really care what the result is.
I think if you asked Nick Fuentes honestly if he's against fascism, I think he would either. I doubt he has a problem with imposing his will on others. I think that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, of course.
I think everyone does that, though.
Yeah, but
I haven't met many people who don't.
Well,
I don't.
Well,
usually when I hear that, it's on a spectrum of I have an opinion, you should consider it, to I will create or vote for politicians that will limit your rights because I think it's better for you. Well, that's kind of the same to me.
You think voting is the same as marching people into a death camp at gunpoint because they're not the same as you?
No, but it's the same. It's the same. When I say like people want to create legislation to like stop LGBT people from having rights, it's coming from the same place as the people who marched and Nazi'd. It started at the same place.
Well, sure.
You're thinking you have the right to limit people and dictate what their happiness and joy is.
I can be a very racist liberal. Okay, hold on, shit. I need to define my terms before you fucking morons run and start making 30 different subreddit posts. When I say Richard Spencer is a liberal, what I mean is that, like, liberal with capital, I think he believes, like, in democracy and stuff. I don't think he wants, like, a totalitarian, like, he seems like a liberal. I thought that's why a lot of the really far-right people shit on Spencer now, is because he's a liberal. He believes in, like, cuck democracy and shit. But he also believes in, like, I'm pretty sure he believes in, like, race realism, or like a people's, race determines their culture and stuff like that. So like he's a racist liberal. That was my understanding of basically. Richard Spencer fucking hates democracy. I can't tell if I can't trust any of you guys, because when there's somebody on the right, you guys just call all them like fascist, authoritarian, like losers. So I don't know. Maybe not. I thought we listened to something on stream a while ago and I thought that was why he gets so much pushback from farther right people. Strategy of management of people's eyes. Ultimately doesn't care about human rights, individual rights. He actually especially doesn't believe it, since he's also anti-religious and has a might is right attitude. Just actually check. I don't remember what I watched. I would have to go back and find like whatever videos I've listened to, like watching him talk. I thought we listened to him go through some debate or whatever. I don't think he defended the idea broadly of like democracy and shit. But maybe not. Maybe we listened to something different. Maybe that wasn't it. Maybe. Trust me, the right is pretty convinced he's a Fed. Yeah, but like half the right accuses the other half of the right of being like either Feds or Antifa or whatever.
It's all kind of the same to me.
That to me isn't fascism. I guess I'm talking about fascism strictly as like a form of authority and how power is expressed and wielded. So the feel somebody I'm not saying he's.
I wish that people would stick to using the actual definitions of fascism. Of all the people I've ever heard talk about it, Mr. Girl is like pretty like much on the money in terms of like when we say fascism, we're really talking about like a type of authoritarian, a type of power and how it's wielded is what we're really talking about. Fascism isn't what there's a million definitions people say, but like that's really what we're talking about, right? Usually like single party rule, authoritarian government, strict, you know, compulsion in society of like following certain, it could be like ethics or norms. Like economic type is irrelevant, might be capitalist, might be socialist, might be whatever, but yeah.
How he feels about Jews or black people, I'm saying as a Nazi in the sense of he, you know, if he could push a button to be like the dictator, he would.
Oh, okay, interesting, cool. That's Nick Fuentes. Or are we talking about Nick right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't know much about him. I've only seen him in debates with Destiny, so it's not exactly impressive light, if that makes sense. But I believe you.
I mean, it's just.
How are you today, by the way?
I'm okay.
Just okay?
Just okay.
Oh man.
What does that mean in Max World?
It means
the energy level.
I don't like the question, how are you?
Okay.
I usually dodge it.
It's too late, you didn't dodge it. You already told me you were okay.
That is a dodge. Because it doesn't mean anything.
Okay. I actually emailed you to ask you onto my show, but I'm on your show at the same time, so how do you want to do this?
Oh, however you want. If you want me to be on your show, that's fine.
I think we're both on each other's show.
Okay.
If you want to call this a show. I don't know what it is.
It's a show.
We didn't even do introductions. It's hardly a show.
Yeah, well, I think both audiences know who the other person is at this point, right?
Hopefully. If not, this is Mr. Girl. This is Max.
This is
I'm a Brittany. Okay.
Yeah, so, well, I messaged you yesterday, and I was like, hey, you were like talking a lot of shit about me a few months ago, saying that I'm boring, or that I'm not introspective, or that I think my...
Oh my god, she said he's a level 1!
All these things you were saying about me, I think mostly in January, maybe a little trickle into February.
Oh no.
And I figured, like, most people don't like me the first time they watch my content or any conversation I'm in. So I figured that might have changed. So I wanted to ask you beforehand, so I don't come in guns blazing, if that has changed. And you said yes, but it seemed like we were gonna wait until we were talking to
discuss it more. Yeah.
Just to get a sense of where we're starting out.
What is the difference between authoritarianism and fascism then? Are they synonyms? It's a subset of the other. Fascism, I would say, by definition, needs to be authoritarian, right? Like it has to be like, or could you have two authoritarian parties? If you had two authoritarian parties running into the democratic system, because totalitarian is what implies single party rule, right? Could you have two authoritarian parties democratically running against each other? Maybe? I don't know. I would say that by definition, like authoritarianism usually like requires like one strong party that is like we are the part, like in China, right? Or in Russia. Like I would say China and Russia have a lot of like fascist aspects to them. Like ultranationalist, like ready to do anything for our country, usually has like ethnic ties to it, or is baked into it. And then like authoritarian government, where the government can do whatever the fuck it wants to do. If it wants to steal shit from businesses, so in China, that might mean owning all the businesses as the government. In Russia, that might mean having like oligarchical control or projection of power or influence over your sectors of your economy. Like these are like, I would say, fascist things. I think authoritarianism requires you being the only power in a country. Okay. I mix up totalitarian and authoritarian sometimes. Totalitarian means you have total control over everything, right? And authoritarian means only one party. Yeah, so okay. I'm pretty sure fascism generally requires totalitarianism and authoritarianism, like both of those things, and then some like aspect of like hyper ultra nationalism or whatever. No, hold on. I want to be clear about this. Hold on. Because people don't know this, okay? Fascism is hyper-nationalism with an us versus them element where the people in the us are made to feel special and called to serve the nation. That's populism, more or less. You're closer to a populist there, somebody like Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump, well, than you are to just a fascist. Like, I think fascist implies, like, not only the us versus them thing, but it implies, like, a form of, like, authoritarianism, a form of totalitarianism, and a form of, like, ultra-nationalism. Populism has, like, that baked in that huge, like, us versus them, us versus the elites, us versus, you know, the system of law. But, yeah, okay, sorry, I don't want to.
Yeah, well, I have a question. Why would you have come in guns blazing, even if I did think those things very strongly the same?
Because they're not true, and it pisses me off when people think those things.
Okay, so you don't think your belief systems are objective? You think they're subjective?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you don't think, like... Okay, so when you push your ideas forward, you're pushing them with the understanding that they're subjective.
I get the bone?
Yeah, I try to couch my beliefs in, like, this is what I like. This is what works. No, it doesn't even work for me. It's just what I do. Like, this is how I think of myself, and the way I think is, like, my preference above, you know, whatever else. If I'm disagreeing with something, it's more like a lens. I think I try to present my views as a lens you could look through. If it's helpful to you to look through it, fine. I'm not trying to get you to glue it to your face, though. Which I think that when you do that, then it gets into more objective.
Did you watch my videos on the levels?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You think that I'm a black and white thinker that thinks she is the objective truth for people?
I mean, yeah, to some degree.
Uh-oh.
I know that you have some... I mean, you ended the video with, like, I'm just an idiot. So I know that you...
have some self-awareness?
Don't, like, fully feel that way.
Okay.
But you are presenting a pretty rigid value system of, like, good versus bad. You also said they're not a judgment, but they kind of are.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I just want to listen to this real quick.
Do you not believe in? You don't believe in democracy?
Well, I don't know what believing in democracy means.
Well, yeah, you do. It means that you.
It seems like a god awful way of choosing leaders to me. Some kind of popularity contest.
Yeah,
I mean, do we
so
want to take, if we
you
look
don't
at
believe in
the
democracy,
taste
that's
and
what-
mores of the American public, Marvel movies and gummy bears or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm not sure I want these people making decisions. Now, as it is, I don't think there's any country that's truly democratic.
Yeah. I get it.
We're not taking a referendum every day.
Right, I understand. You're saying you don't believe in it in the sense that you don't think it's actually happening.
I don't
the way
believe
it is intended to. Right? Yes, I
don't believe in it.
I
I don't believe it exists, and I believe it's an ideal. Yeah,
I know. I was asking about the second part.
Yeah, it's definitely not an ideal.
I think to be fair, I think most people. I think there's a large number of people, I'll say, who don't think it really exists in practice, but who want to strive for it as an ideal. So I would say that that's probably where I am. I agree that realistically it's flawed and it never works quite the way it's supposed to work, and often doesn't even come close. But as a guiding light.
The argument against democracy are Marvel films and Chrissy Grey Clearly, the American public should not be
Does he give like an alternative to democracy, or does he? I'm just curious.
But they're not that bad though. They're okay.
Okay, but
they're okay.
I was going to say something here because I can make an interesting point about this. Imagine if you were a German who was born in, say, 1905, and you lived a very long life, and you were born in an imperial Germany with a parliament and also a monarch. You experienced a cataclysmic world war. You then lived in a democratic republic that was kind of foisted upon the loser of that war. You then experienced a fascist dictatorship for a dozen years. You then experienced a few decades as you reached middle age, communist dictatorship that maybe kind of reminded you of the fascist one in some ways, and part of the Russian Empire, very new stuff. And then, as you were reaching about, you're an octogenarian, you actually start to live in a new kind of American democratic unified Germany. You would experience, I don't know how many days, it's like 5 or 6 different types of regimes.
Okay, I don't cover this anymore. Okay, maybe he's not a liberal. Maybe he's just not far right enough, I guess, and for the farther right groups.
Gay judgment. We gay judged here.
Yeah. So I think you're.
So my assessment of you. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I do think your value system is a bit rigid. You do like a take it or leave it thing. But it does come across like you just think you're right. And obviously you've constructed a level system. Level 1.
Don't they? This is such an interesting critique. It's going to be interesting to hear them. It's going to be interesting to hear them critique each other, because I feel like the same accusations they make of each other is going to be levied onto them, right? So Max says that I don't believe that my I'm not trying to tell people how to live. This is just like a way that I view the world, which I think is essentially what Brittany says. I'm pretty sure she would say that. Like, oh, I'm not telling you have to see it my way. Like, I'm a dummy, lol.
Max
But, like, this is what I
CanCon was pretty good if you haven't seen it.
I'll watch it immediately, right now, thank you. And I'm pretty sure Brittany would say the same, but then they're both probably going to disagree on like, well, when you talk about it, it sounds like you're making like way more like strict objective like judgments or whatever on things, which I'm pretty sure people would say to, probably to Brittany and to Max, because I think you guys usually say that of Brittany, and I think some of you say that of Max as well, but...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with yourself as a 5. So there's that. And I think that, it's for anybody who's not familiar, your level system is basically levels of introspection. So 1 are useless people who are a burden and drain on society and the world around them, and in your words, so useless they can't even kill themselves.
Jesus.
No. Poetic, right? It's one of the cleverest things I've ever said.
Yeah, that I find that pretty disturbing, so I'm probably gonna argue with you about that. 2, it sounds like, are like normal people who are kind of stupid, but they're happy, and we need 2s to like be like garbage people or whatever.
But 2s can be very smart too, obviously.
Yeah, they're smart, but
like,
they're choosing to live in the moment and not understand their place in society and have little cosmic understanding or historical understanding or philosophical understanding of what's going on around them.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's not true, but so you say that, but clearly it's like 2, it's not, 2 is less than 5. It's just giving the levels.
Wait, that's such a silly way of 2 is less than 5. Oh man, fuck. I wish I could have moderated this conversation. I hope this doesn't get bogged down in dumb shit. Because obviously what the Brittany's probably going to say that like, well, lacking introspection isn't good or bad. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just something more that you could do, right? Yeah.
So listen, the only reason they're numbers is literally
as a strong inhabitor in the 2 arena. Okay, I'm here to defend us 2s. Okay. All right, our bubble is a valuable one, guys.
Co-author's like, let's name them really cool names. I was like, I will forget them. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm an idiot.
That's fine, but in making that decision, you clearly are putting 2 below 5, literally. 3s are above 2s, but they're not quite 4s. So 3s are stuck in limbo. They're uncomfortable.
Destiny, that's not silly. She's clearly hierarchically ordered these types. There's an implicit value judgment in there. Okay, fuck. I don't want to have too much of a meta conversation because it's gonna sound like I'm simping over. Okay, I'll tell you where okay. Oh, fuck, this sounds so bad. This is how I view these people, okay? I view Max as me. Fuck. Now it's gonna sound like I'm making it hard. Fuck it. We all think we're all better than everybody else. Okay, I don't care. I think that Max is almost completely analogous to my internal everything, just minus all of my social skills. That's what Max feels like to me, right? Max feels like if I walk into a place and I meet a girl and she seems chill, like I would want to walk up to her and go like, "Hey, you're hot. You're into me. Let's go back and fuck right now. Let's ignore everything else and do it." But I wouldn't say that as Stephen Bunnell because I'm not autistic as fuck, right? I like, hey, let's talk a little bit. You can be comfortable with me. We can learn some things about each other, and then we'll get to that. I know we both know that's where we're going, but we're gonna play a little game while we get there, right? Which is fine, right? So like that's the difference I think between me and Max, I would say. And then Max would argue that, well, I'm above the social standards. I think they're stupid. We should advocate for their abolishment. It's dumb to play the games, blah blah blah. And I would say, yeah, maybe, but everybody else, right? That's. I think I'm a little bit closer, maybe, to Brittany. In terms of how we view the world and how we interact with the world, although I would say that her interactions are significantly different than mine because she either has different interests or whatever. So I'm answering for her. I could be wrong, but when she has like a hierarchy, so if you were to ask Brittany, is it better to be a 5 or a 2? Brittany would probably say, well, in my mind, I think it's better to be a 5 than a 2 because I value introspection, right? But she
strongest emotions. After all the harm I've caused, you still want my loving. I can't believe I still receive so much affection from your side. If you could give me one more chance, I'd love to turn the tide. I can't believe I still receive so much affection from your side. If you could give me one more chance, I'd love to turn the tide. I can't believe I still receive so much affection from your side. If you could give me one more chance, I'd love to turn the tide.
She would probably say, not everybody values introspection, which is probably true. A lot of people don't give a fuck about being introspective. For some people, it might even be more work than it's worth. Who the fuck cares? You might live a perfectly fine life. You might not reflect much on anything or think about your religion or whatever. Like, you just don't care. Like, why? Like, you don't even need to be introspective. And you can get through life just fine that way. So I think that, so the pushback is going to be when he's like, well, you're making a value judgment. I think her really, internally, she kind of is, because she values introspection. But I think that she would say that, like, just because I value this particular thing doesn't mean everybody else does, right? That would be my guess. Kind of like how I would say, like, oh, like are you Diamond 4 or are you like unranked, right? Most people are unranked because most people don't play League of Legends. You wouldn't say that, like, well, are you making a value judgment there? Well, kind of. I'm making a value judgment about your League of Legends rank, but I'm not making a value judgment as like your value as a human being. Except I guess with ones that she says should kill themselves, but I don't know why she says that or what exactly that is. But who knows? This conversation could go anywhere. Good luck.
They're on the edge, and it's a very dangerous place to be a 3 because you might go insane and kill yourself. There's like allusions to suicide at every level. So
did you take Max? This is the best. Like, I love your. Did you really watch the video? I am in love with this. This is so nice.
I watched your video. And then a 4 is basically almost a 5, but a 4 has ascended, and understands their place. But they're still kind of like
that's like Super Saiyan 3, where you get to a really high power level, but it means nothing. I don't know.
On some kind of fence. But you could, I think
Ascended
a 4 can
Saiyan.
be like fulfilled.
I'm working with some 4s right now to see what will happen. All of them end up asking me how to be a 5, which is funny to me because I can't. It's not like I can write a book, so it's always like a personal journey. But that's what we're waiting to see if anyone can stay a content 4.
Wow.
Wait, they can a content 2. A 2 is much easier to be than a 4.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Okay, I don't want to do this. Stop. I don't want to argue about DBZ too much, okay? The problem with Super Saiyan 3 is that every single time when Super Saiyan 1 was presented on screen, it was an epic, important moment. When Super Saiyan 2 was presented on screen, it was an epic, important moment, right? We had Gohan, we had fucking Goku. When Goku goes Super Saiyan 3, who the fuck cares? He goes SJ3 and then he loses the fight immediately after in like one episode. What? Okay, and? That's what I'm saying. Super Saiyan 3 was bullshit in the show. Now, it's important later with the whole fusion and all that shit, but I'm just saying that, like, okay, who cares, all right? Stop! We're not talking about this right now, okay?
Easy, like in comparison.
And then a 5 accepts death, accepts history, accepts the universe.
Wow.
A 5 knows the truth which cannot be told in a video or a book, but can only be told in a number of paid sessions with Brittany Simon. And that is
you could even you could even watch the YouTube videos and get there. You don't have to pay for the sessions. But that's the thing, right? It's like you don't have to pay for the sessions.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a really I am so in love with this moment. That was a great summary.
Okay,
that was great.
Thank you. I just want to make sure we're on the same page then.
Yeah, okay, and let me tell you, since we're like, I'll gush about your work for a second. Now that you just gushed about mine, but I'm gonna, as a narcissist, take that as you gushing about my work.
Okay.
You were gushing about my work because you actually paid attention to it. So
I did.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment. Okay, so
because a narcissist just likes attention, whether it's positive or negative. That's what you're saying.
I mean, we are YouTubers, are we not narcissists?
No, we are. I'm just clarifying. That's why you said that. Like the way Trump just likes. He just wants you to write a news article about him. It doesn't matter what's in it.
Yeah. Basically, I will say I do prefer people who seem to be critical of my work, and you're already like giving me that energy of like, he might tear me apart, which you know is a kink of mine. Like, tear me apart, please. Like, I'll get excited.
Yeah.
You know. So when I saw your work in January, I was really annoyed with it because people were like, "Brittany, he's the next thing for you. You're gonna love talking to him." And I was like, I don't. Okay. And then I watched it, and I didn't, as you saw, quite feel connected to your work. Then I saw the video you did called, I think it's called Chasing Women. And it really changed how I saw you. And so I went, oh, and my brain went ding, 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 ding. And I was like, oh, I know where to put Max. So I do like categorizing
Oh my
people,
God. Was she going to give him a number?
I think I miscategorized you the first time I saw you. I don't know yet because I haven't talked to you, but I want to bet that I did. Therefore, I get the exciting moment of like, ooh, maybe I did it wrong.
What do you think she's going to give him? What if I had to guess? It can't be a 2 because that's boring, right? It's not going to be a 5 because then they don't have anything to fight over. So it's going to be a 3 or 4. That's my guess. I'm leaning towards a 3 because he hasn't bought the videos yet. He hasn't bought the program. I'm leaning towards the 3.
Which means I can do it right this time, and that's my happiness. That's my happy place.
Because you thought I was a 2, but actually I'm a 6.
Ooh, so something like that. Sure, something like that. Something changed, and there's something that means that there's more interesting things here for me. I'm being a little selfish. I hope this is a symbiotic relationship where we both get something out of this. For sure.
Is he gonna push for the number?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's not going to.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Yeah. So a lot of people are predicting that I'm gonna yell at you or make you cry, but you did disclose to me that me yelling at you would be arousing to you.
Oh, 100%. I even wore underwear for this. I was going commando all day, but now I'm in underwear. So.
Gotta protect your seating.
Well, I'm in yellow pants.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want them to soak through and then be rude for the internet to see.
Understood.
Yeah, I try to be considerate.
Right. So, well, I don't know if that's true, but so that complicates any. I mean, if I lose either way now, because like if I fight back and I get angry, then you win. If I tear you apart, you win. If I win, you win. If I lose, you win. If I'm nice and compliment you, you win. Yeah.
Isn't that good though? Is somebody supposed to lose right now? I hope you win at the end of this too.
I don't know. Well, yeah. So the way it's set up, you're gonna win, and maybe I'll win too. I guess that's how you have it.
Well, do you think that 5s always win?
I don't believe in your level system, Brittany.
You do a little.
I don't think so.
It's a little.
I don't think so.
Oh, no.
I don't think I think of people that way.
I'm a dog on the roof like Snoopy. Sue me, hit me 'cause you're not still want my loving. I can't believe I still receive so much affection from your side. If you could give me one more chance, I'd love to turn the tide. I can't believe I still receive so much affection from your side. If you could give me one more chance, I'd love to turn the tide.
I don't think people are differently introspective.
She's maxing him. Oh no.
I think some people are more introspective about certain things at certain times and in certain ways, but I think there's so much variance. Like I mean, like
hold on, fuck. I'm just real quick. I think that the implicate value judgment to your ability is kind of just an implicit value judgment, because introspection is considered some virtue in society generally, and people who are less introspective are kind of considered worse as people. I'm just going to tell you this, or give you my opinion on this, because I don't want to argue about it. I don't think introspection is valued much at all. There's not very much in life that we get through introspection. There's not like, well, I mean, like externally that people can see. We're not rewarded for being introspective. There's no like talks about how introspective people are. Like, I don't agree with that. It would be cool if it was. Personally, I think introspection is important, and personally, I think that everybody should be introspective, because I think there is value there if you're willing to put in the work, right? I'm not going to tell you to go climb Mount Everest for fun, right? It's a challenge. You have to do things, but there's like some reward at the end of the tunnel there if you're willing to work for it. But like, I don't think in general it's something where we reward much in society, and you don't even really need it to do well in society, right? Like, I've talked to a lot of people that are like smart and really dumb, you know, if that makes any sense. But
Steven. Occasionally extremely introspective.
Lack of introspection is definitely... Oh, did you say my name? Hold on, I'm about to get big narcissist boners here. Lack of introspection is definitely looked down upon, but I don't think it works the other end. I disagree. When people talk about lack of introspection... Fuck, I don't want to get on this topic. When people make fun of somebody for not being introspective, they're not usually talking about introspection. They're usually just talking about like... They're using that as a proxy for something else. Like, let's say that I walk into a room, and let's say that I fucking shit on the floor and I roll around it. I'm like, oh, this is fun. And like, people look at that guy and it's like, oh yeah, like, Steven, he's not very introspective. Like, well, they don't really mean that. What they mean is he's like socially clueless, or he's awkward, or he's inconsiderate. Usually like lack of introspection means something like that. Let's say that I run into a woman, and let's say that she spent her whole life working in like charitable organizations, and she is like, she raises money for the poor, she goes out and she volunteers, but like, she just does it because she's like religious, not to shit on those people, but she's religious. She's never really thought about why. She doesn't like think about it, but like, it makes her happy to do it, and she lives her life, she enjoys it. Nobody, not a single person in society will look at that woman and go, huh, you know, yeah, she's a good person. Yeah, she does charity. Yeah, she's good at her family. She's very much lacking introspection, though. Nobody would ever say that ever. Even if that person genuinely is lacking introspection. When people use that as an insult, you lack introspection, they're almost always using that as a proxy for some other word that they're talking about. But introspection sounds like really cool and deep and spiritual and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, Brittany might insult that person. True. All right, sorry, hold on.
I mean, like Steven. Occasionally extremely introspective. Occasionally not introspective. I think he was like a carpet cleaner before streaming was invented. If streaming had never been invented, and it had never been a way for him to he basically invented streaming, but if the technology hadn't been there for him to merge the idea of talking about ideas and playing video games at the same time, he might have just been a carpet cleaner who played video games and had like some interesting conversations with his friends. But
fuck, I don't think that has anything at all to do with introspection. I don't think any of these things. Plenty of people can work menial jobs and be introspective. You could be. And there are a lot of streamers or wealthy people or celebrities that totally lack introspection. I would say that these two things are almost entirely disconnected, with the only caveat being the wealthier you are, maybe the more time you have to pursue things like introspection. And if you're like super fucked in poverty, maybe you don't have time to maybe. But like, otherwise I would say these two things are relatively disconnected. But
in your assessment of him, like from afar, you might just say, well, he cleans carpets too, and he's happy doing that.
I have wives can clean carpets. So
Sure.
I understand what you're saying. Like his life could have gone in a specific direction. Maybe. Maybe. I think certain people are destined for certain things, but not really. Because I'm really, you know.
Other than other times I'm talking to him and I'm like, I'll say like, oh, so I think you must feel X, Y, Z about something that you obviously feel. Like I know what you're feeling. I know what you're feeling, Steven. And he's like, no, that's completely wrong. And I'm like, I can't. I don't believe you. And so in some ways, he's not introspective. In some ways, he's extremely introspective. And I think he thinks the same thing about me. And I think you think the same thing about me. I just don't.
I just realized there's a huge fucking problem with this conversation. They should have began with defining introspection, because I wonder if they're both on. I wonder if I'm even on that. I don't even know if I agree actually. When I think of introspection, I'm gonna use one word, and I'm just gonna call it like awareness of yourself is like what I would consider introspection. So, like, like you can be aware of like the what do you do? What is your job? What do you do every day? But being aware of the why is the introspective part. I don't know if these two people agree on what introspection means. Because some people, like I said, they use introspection as like a proxy for like, are you smart? Are you considerate? Are you nice to people? Do you have a family? Like that, people would say that's introspection. Or which I wouldn't say something, but I don't. We'll see.
I just think we're like, if we accept your level system, I think at sometimes I'm a 1 and sometimes I'm a 5, and it just depends. So I guess I just think it's too simplifying to say that someone can have that label all the time. I just think it's a moving target.
Ooh, I've heard this often where people go, can I go from one to the other?
Hold on. I haven't listened to this, so I'm not sure what she's gonna say. I don't think that's possible. No, I'm not gonna use like her numbering system or whatever, but like, I think that if you have a certain level of introspection, I don't think you can just shut that off. I think it's maybe with drugs, or maybe if you like deliberately try really, really hard, but it's not like you can have like a certain level of reflection and then just like, oh, well, I'm not even gonna think about that shit anymore. I'm just gonna do whatever. Like, I think you'll always have some level of like that awareness around you, like what's going on. I don't think you can just shut that off. That would be my guess, but maybe she'll disagree. Who knows?
I think in ways, in a, like a metaphysical way, but not like in a literal way. Because once you know something, you cannot know it unless you have like brain damage.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't
or
not
drugs.
know things once I know it.
I don't think
you know
that's
what
true.
I mean? I know I'm.
I have met many people who seemed to know something at one point. And then,
that means that they probably didn't really know it, right? They probably were using something else, right?
Like it just disappeared.
Sure.
Are you
Did
looking
they
at your
know it,
chat?
or did they think they knew it? No, it's currently minimized. Should I? That's I think how you prefer it, correct?
It's
Should
up
I
to
bring
you.
it up?
No. I'm gonna hide
I
mine. I
can't
just
pick-
noticed that they're asking who you are again. So I just want to say one more time. This is Brittany Simon, and when we're talking about these number levels, we're talking about her belief system called the levels that she invented along with an anonymous person.
She needs a better word for that. The levels is really lame, okay? She needs to work on her branding. She could sell more lessons if she had a better name.
And they're basically levels of introspectiveness and acceptance of kind of reality and your place in it. A widening of perspective.
I think it can fluctuate throughout time, like even throughout the day. It's kind of a moment-to-moment basis, but I think there's like a baseline that must go. I guess like the comparison that I think of, going back to my hyper woke days, I am still like very internally woke. I just try to be more. Not necessarily. I still try to bridge gaps between different types of people. I think that. Do you remember the comic where like once you learn about? I think it was like once you learn about feminism, you start seeing a whole bunch of shitty things towards women in like every single aspect of society. I think that like once you've had a certain level of awareness brought about, that you start to see like these things pop up over. I don't think you can ever just like turn that off. Like, somebody will have a link to it. That's like an ultra fucking woke comic or whatever. But like I think it's.
Yeah. That's really, that's pretty good. So I agree that you can watch people, like I say, oh, I'm in a 2 moment right now, everybody. I'm having like a 2 moment. So here's my 2 moment opinion, and then go, here's my like 5.
See, the funny thing is that like if I want to be clear, I don't work in her levels because I don't think about it that way. But like even her saying I'm having a 2 moment right now means that she's not having a 2 moment, right? She's having a 5 moment, realizing that she's just being like whatever. I guess like for a comparison, for a comparison in my life, where I'm not gonna say act like a 2, act like a 5. I'm not using her terms, okay? But like for a comparison in my life, right? I am relatively emotionally blunt, not blunt. What's the word you use for people that there's a word for like you have a blunt effect. I'm like pretty cold, pretty whatever. But I know that if I meet a new girl for the first time and I have a lot of chemistry, I will go full retard. I'll actually throw my, I've done this before. I will just fucking throw myself into the grinder. Like I'm just fucked. So like I could say like, oh, well, you know, when I meet a new girl, like I'm a 5 having a 2. Not really, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm being a fucking moron. But there are times where you might be like, you know what, fuck it, we'll embrace the stupidity. But it's not like I'm not gonna be aware of that, right? Like, oh, you know, here's a new girl that I've met. I just had my like 8th 4-hour conversation with her in 2 weeks. Like, it's not like well, am I being a fucking insane psycho person right now? Yeah, like, it's not like you just lose that awareness, you know? But yeah. I think you cannot shut it down, but you still can decide to act. Yeah, basically, yeah. Let's go with that. Okay, sorry. I'm signing this video up by making it take 12 hours.
Moment opinion. So I kind of play that game, but realistically, even when I'm in my feelings, there's always a logical end that I default to, which is like my 5 brain. To say, Brittany, you've already done this work. You've already gone through these crises. You've already met these people in these bubbles.
Do you think Mr. Girl is saying is right in saying that she ranks these people to make herself feel better? I think that you can probably make that assumption. I would make that assumption. I did make that assumption about Brittany. Anytime somebody tells me like, oh, like I've got a ranking people for how I rank people and based on like, you know, like how introspective they are. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cute. Like I'm sure you're very like yeah, okay, I'm sure you do, buddy. Because it sounds like some new age psychobabble bullshit. That's what I would assume outwardly. Or no, I would assume that inwardly. But then like you have more conversations with the person like, okay, well, like is there actually anything here? Do I think? And I would say that for Brittany, I think that she's like relatively socially aware. I think she's like pretty well thought out. Like I said, I wouldn't use, I would never, I just don't think in this way. Like I wouldn't talk about like the system in this sense. But like, yeah, I mean, I think that in talking to her enough, I think she's earned her whatever bubble shit she talks about. But I don't think it's bad to make the assumption initially, like, okay, this is some shit that you do for attention or whatever. But like, this is like one of my big criticisms with Max, right? It's okay to have even quick judgments about people. I think that's fine. We make quick judgments all the time, but they need to be flexible. You have to be malleable with how you treat people. Like you know, it's the first time I talked to a lot of people, I think you're probably a fucking moron. Like I'm sorry, you are. But hey, I'm open to my mind being changed. Like, you know, the ball's in your court. Do what you have to do. Maybe, you know, maybe by the end of this conversation, I actually think you're like a really cool, really intelligent person. It's possible, you know.
That everyone fits exactly where you've categorized them, even when you want to argue that they are what they are and you can't make them anything different. So I do it as a comforting thing to myself, which is like categorizing how I've experienced why people make decisions. Like it always confuses me sometimes when people I admire do certain things. I'm like, what'd you do that for? And they're like, oh, because of this. I'm like, oh, we're all just people, huh? We had this discussion in my Discord yesterday where I think everyone's kind of basic. And someone's like, Queen, you're not basic. I was like, I'm basic, bitch. Come on. Like when the internet's not happening, I go home to a pretty basic life. And it's pretty good. Pretty peak, right? So like the levels isn't meant to judge people truly. It's meant to just say, hey, if you find yourself questioning and wondering, is there more than just like this SJW bubble or this YouTube bubble? Like, yeah, bro, there's a whole world out there. And you don't have to assume that we found the answers in these bubbles because the answers are limited. How many times are we gonna have the same conversations? I said it today on my stream this morning. We're still debating what's a man and what's a woman. At what point are humans going to accept that we've discovered things? Or are we just going to always continually go through these cycles of questioning, like, what is? If that's the case, then it makes sense. We are giving birth to new babies every day. And new babies are born twos, and twos have to go on their journey of introspection and fall in love, and then, you know, maybe go to jail or be a politician.
What do you think a woman is?
Uh-oh. Oh, shit.
I'm a woman. Chromosomes are a woman. That's
no,
for me. I'm pretty
fuck. I wanted to steal this. If I ever got asked this question by a conservative, it is such an easy 180 flip. Whenever a conservative is like, huh, can you define a woman? Like, all you have to be like, okay, well, I don't know, can you? Because whatever answer they give you, you're going to find, well, it's somebody that has like an ovary can give birth. Okay, like, so people without ovaries aren't women? Like, well, no, it's like, you know, you can get into the weeds on it like very quickly. On both sides, really, you can, but.
Okay, so
secondary sex characteristics. Yeah, like I'm pretty content with the way we fundamentally categorize men and women. I think it's pretty reasonable, even on site alone. We're obviously like different. Looking at us, it's kind of fun to look at us actually side by side.
Okay, so do you think trans women are women?
In one way, yes.
Well, you just said XX.
Well, I think they're women, right? In the way that
Well, they don't have women chromosomes, and they don't have female sex
right, so
characteristics.
they're not cis. Right, they're not cis women. They're people who identify as women, and that's good enough for me too.
Okay, so they're not women,
Pretty
but
easy.
they think they are, or they say they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good enough for me.
What does that mean?
I think people hear me say that and they go, "Oh, so Brittany doesn't believe in trans people." It's not really like that, though. I meet a lot of really cool trans people. They're
Well, you
obviously
believe
like men
in
and
trans
women.
people, but you don't believe what they're saying.
Jeez.
I believe.
You don't agree with them.
It's not even that really, because I feel like, not to be so woo-woo, but I meet trans people all the time and I'm like, I get it. I get how you're not cis, but I also get how you're cis and not cis. Like, I get how they're men and women, but also don't live as men and women, if that makes sense. Like, I understand an energy, like a feeling perspective of like, yeah, like you can be anything but this, even though you're not, but you are.
Okay. Your level system is also a business.
Yes.
That should be acknowledged.
Yeah, it became a business after a while. I went to a priest and I said, "Hey, I'm doing these calls with people, but it's not formulated and I don't know what to do." And he's like, "Well, don't you have like this whole level system?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "So be a professional conversationalist. Use the levels to talk to people. It brings people in, and you should just talk to people." And
Did you say she was talking to a
Socrates' day, he said
priest?
that people would just talk to people for a living. I was like, great. So I branded myself a professional conversationalist and listener. It made people feel safer with me because they knew what I was aiming for.
Safer
and
than
so
what?
sometimes
What is your definition of woman? The honest answer is that I should actually think about this before my debate with Elijah. The honest answer is that any highly complicated class that involves multiple traits is going to be really, really hard to define. That's like the honest answer. For instance, if I were to ask you, define to me, like, what is a table? That's actually, it's really hard to come up with, like, what is a table? Well, like, it doesn't always have 4 legs. It could have 3 legs. It could have 1 leg. It usually has a flat top. It doesn't have to have a flat top. Like, it's usually a certain shape. It doesn't have to be a certain shape. It's obviously like, it's not like a chair. It could be a chair. A table and a chair could be the same, right? Like, and that's just a table, right? Like, if we go to something more complicated, like, what is a car? Well, is a truck a car? Maybe. Is a motorcycle a car? Probably not. What about like a motorcycle with like a car on the side? Like the sidecar is still probably not, because we have like a different thing. But like, what is a definition? What about like a car that looks like a car but it has 2 wheels? Or the 3-wheel cars? Are those cars? You know, like what? Like, can you give me a definition of a car that, like an electric car that excludes like golf carts? Is that a type of car? Like the reality is, the honest answer, if you have an honest interlocutor, any category of thing we have that has like multiple traits, that have multiple like facets to those traits, it's going to be almost impossible to give you concrete definition, unless you believe in, like, you know, idealist, what the forms, is it Platonism, the Plato's forms? Like, it's going to be hard to say that there is like an ideal form of anything, or that there is like a super strict definition of anything, you know? At Destiny, a table is not the same as a woman. It's more like, what is wood? Women is based from chromosomes. I'm not gonna argue with you, but like, what do you mean, dude? Like, what is wood, right? Is like wood, like when I go into like and see a tree, is wood like what I get in my pants when your mom DMs me? Like what? Like there's like 50 million types of wood. Like, yeah, is charcoal wood? Does that count? Like, yeah, I don't know. Okay, stop. We're back to this. Destiny is just wrong here. We don't use scientific definitions in daily life. No, you are wrong. When we're talking about what is a category, that is not a scientific question. That is a philosophical question, period. Science does not give us definitions. Science is just a tool to explore things, okay? Science will never tell you, this is life. That's why when people say things like, oh, like abortion, pro or anti-abortion, well, that's just a question of science. No, it's not, you dumb motherfucker. You don't go into a laboratory and look under a microscope and like etched in the side of the cell it's saying, I am alive. Or you see like XX and it's like, oh, this is what God meant when he said women. No, that you motherfucker. These are philosophical concepts. All categorizations, all categories, all classes, all like ways of organizing things. These are human imposed patterns on the universe that we use to make sense of things, okay? These are, by definition, rooting from philosophy, right? They're not scientific questions. Sorry. Okay.
Then I don't want to be a scammer, so I don't want to like take people's money just to take it.
Based.
And then I'm not just like some loon on the side of the road who's like, the earth is flat. I have a reason to believe the things that I do or / help people, but I think I'm meant to only impact a niche community of humans. Mostly people who are probably more similarly brained to myself.
Okay.
Generally speaking. Yeah, so I do calls, but all the calls are out. Some of the calls don't even involve the levels. Some people just call me to play like video games or watch anime and get high with them. So we just do whatever. It's whatever the person wants. They get to decide how the calls go.
The easiest one is to scam.
There's also a sexual element.
He wants to attack this so bad. Oh man,
something.
We're laying the groundwork.
My OnlyFans, you mean?
Are we? Man, I wonder where this is going. Mr. Girl is. I wonder how intentional he is with his approach to conversation. So we're laying the groundwork for basically like kinky sex cult of like YouTube woman that is exploiting her poor ones and twos in her audience for money. I wonder if that's where this is going.
Yeah, I have OnlyFans. That's
your
what
whole
you mean.
presentation. I mean, you've been pretty aggressively sexual in this conversation, and then you're OnlyFans.
That's a good way to describe Brittany.
I'm
sexual.
Go ahead.
I assume some of the motivation for the private calls is coming from a sexual place.
Oh, the private calls? No. You'll get banned if you get sexual.
Well, even if you get sexual, that doesn't mean that it's not part of the motivation.
From whose perspective? Clients, you mean? The customers?
You have the exact time and place.
The patrons?
I don't know. Either one.
Well, okay, so I separate my energies, so I tell you if you come to Patreon.
Okay, yeah, I know, but you could be a porn star. You could be a porn star and be like, I have totally non-sexual service where like we can just play checkers.
But it is, so yeah, so yes, so you can look at it like that, but I've been in sex positive circles my whole life. I'm a queer woman. Like I protested naked. I've run around naked around like the streets of Seattle as like a form of like pro nudity.
Where do you live?
People who often, I don't share where I live.
What do you share?
America.
That's it? You don't
live in America.
Yes.
I live Texas or West is what I tell people because I ain't doing the cold.
Okay.
Except yeah.
Okay, she said she lives Texas or West. Sometimes we can see sunlight in the background. I bet if we triangulated hard enough, it's not triangulation, but I bet if we used enough like context clues, I think we could narrow it down to at least time zone.
But like the insinuation, I understand. So certain bubbles will see me different ways. But people who come to me through the one-on-one calls, like you're coming for something other than sexual gratification. And even OnlyFans, like I don't create content for people to masturbate to. If they do, that's great. I don't care.
I'm so sorry.
But I create content that I think is pretty and that I like. And I've noticed that my work is not what you would call traditional sex work. It's much more, I think, like I call it queer in nature. So it might not be what people are looking for. Like I'll just like fold my laundry naked, or sometimes I'll dance, sometimes I'll masturbate, sometimes I won't. Like sometimes I'll just talk to people about camera.
Was geht? Herzlich willkommen zu den Best News in YouTube Deutschland. Herzlich willkommen zu den Cake News. Ich war am Freitag beim Geburtstag von Just Nero, deswegen kommt das Cake News heute ein bisschen später. Dafür gibt es aber crispy, cleane Themen. Shoyoka und David Dragomirovic haben nämlich anscheinend so einen kleinen Beef mit Indie Media. Das ist eine Plattform, bei der linke Gruppierungen Statements, Briefe und so weiter veröffentlichen können. Das Ganze natürlich anonym. Und das ist auch die Seite, die ich euch im letzten Shoyoka-Video gezeigt habe, weil dieser Anti-Shoyoka-Artikel dort veröffentlicht worden ist. In diesem Video habe ich euch ja allerdings schon gesagt, dass es sich höchstwahrscheinlich um einen Fake-Artikel handelt, weil diese Organisationen, die das unterschrieben haben, die gibt es irgendwie alle überhaupt nicht. Und das ist in die Media jetzt wohl auch aufgefallen. Deswegen wurde dieser Beitrag jetzt auch tatsächlich gelöscht. Auf der Seite findet man aber noch einen Post, wo halt genau das kritisiert worden ist, dass dieser Beitrag so lange online gewesen ist. Das Lustige kommt allerdings jetzt. Nachdem dieser Fake-Artikel online gestellt worden ist, hat anscheinend David Dragomirovic ebenfalls versucht, einige Artikel zu veröffentlichen, die Shoyoka verteidigt haben. Wie zum Beispiel diesen hier, in dem es darum geht, dass Shoyoka 2 Jahre lang gegen rechte Hetze, Doxing und so weiter standgehalten hat und ein wichtiger Part für die linke linke Bewegung in Deutschland ist. Der Artikel wurde allerdings gelöscht und dann sind immer wieder neue Artikel gekommen, die immer niveauloser geworden sind. Das hier sind die Google-Suchergebnisse und ja, das sind tatsächlich einige Artikel für Shoyoka gegen Young Feldsalat, teilweise auch gegen Indie Media selber. Mein Highlight ist auf jeden Fall Scheiß auf Indie Media. Auf Blue Sky hatte sich danach auch ein Moderator von Indie Media zu Wort gemeldet und der hat gesagt, dass er wirklich seit Tagen nur noch am Löschen von irgendwelchen Shoyoka-Sachen ist und er wirklich alle Beteiligten davon hasst. Und Bro, warum hasst du mich? Ich habe damit wirklich überhaupt nichts zu tun. Deswegen auch eine kleine Bitte. Ich weiß natürlich nicht, wer welchen Artikel wann veröffentlicht hat, aber es ist schon sehr wahrscheinlich, dass David Dragomirovic da auch einige von veröffentlichen wollte. Und sollten das irgendwelche Trolle sein, lasst diese Seite bitte in Ruhe. Die hat wirklich mit dieser ganzen Auseinandersetzung überhaupt nichts zu tun und es ist unnötig, die da jetzt mit reinzuziehen. Teilweise haben die da auch sehr wichtige Posts und wichtige Statements und ja, lasst die mit diesem Schrott bitte einfach in Ruhe. Was sagt ihr aber ansonsten dazu? Ist David Dragomirovic mal wieder einfach ausgerastet oder waren das doch irgendwelche Trolle? Schreibt es jetzt in die Kommentare. Knossi macht Werbung für ein Pay-to-Win-Handyspiel und wird dafür etwas kritisiert. Und zwar gibt es bei Instagram ja immer mal wieder diese Werbungen, wo irgendwelche Fake-Reaction auf irgendein Gameplay gezeigt wird. Und das Ganze hat Knossi jetzt ebenfalls für das Spiel Last War gemacht. Und das können wir uns ja einfach mal ganz kurz angucken.
Ist Last War. Die Entwickler haben wirklich aus all diesen Fake-Werbungen das echte Spiel gemacht.
Wo muss ich hin? Ah, da lang. Ich brauche eine bessere Waffe jetzt. Schnell, schnell, komm.
So, weg mit denen. Ich dachte immer, dieses Spiel ist fake, das gibt's gar nicht. Aber die Entwickler haben aus diesen Fake-Werbungen das echte Game gemacht.
Schnell, schnell, ich brauche eine bessere Waffe.
Der erste Punkt ist, dass das Ganze halt einfach super unauthentisch ist. Also das ist ja logischerweise nicht seine wirkliche Reaktion auf das Gameplay und das Gameplay wird wahrscheinlich nicht mal von ihm sein. Und ich verstehe halt wirklich nicht, warum so Handy-Apps sich immer so denken, ja Mann, genau so wollen wir die Werbung haben. Aber es klappt ja auch, das muss man ja auch einfach mal dazu sagen. Das Ganze ist halt weder gut geschauspielert noch gut rübergebracht, also das ist halt wirklich einfach unangenehm zu gucken und das haben einige Leute auch kritisiert. Ich habe das bei meinem Matchmasters Placement letztens ja auch machen müssen und ich habe denen auch gesagt, so Digga, das ist einfach nur peinlich, das zu machen. Aber nein, die haben darauf beharrt, dass das unbedingt so drin sein muss. Aber ich kann euch beruhigen, ich habe dieses Matchmasters Game tatsächlich auch selber gespielt. Bei Last War gibt es dazu auch noch den Kritikpunkt, dass das Ganze eine Pay-to-Win-App ist. Auf Reddit zum Beispiel gibt es diesen großen Beitrag, der unter anderem auch kritisiert, dass es immer wieder Werbungen gibt, immer werden dir irgendwelche Pakete vorgeschlagen, du sollst unbedingt Geld ausgeben, sonst hast du keinen richtigen Fortschritt. Und ja, das stimmt, denn lustigerweise habe ich die App sogar auf meinem Handy, weil die Werbungen sehen schon geil aus, ne? Mit diesem Hin- und Hergehen, Digga, bessere Waffe, mehr Truppen, das macht schon ein bisschen Bock. Hier muss man allerdings sagen, auch wenn es keine richtige Verteidigung ist, also diese App ist jetzt nicht mehr Pay-to-Win, als es irgendeine andere kostenlose App ist, um ehrlich zu sein. Man muss hier zumindest doch sagen, dass es sich um einen Singleplayer handelt. Also wer dafür dann halt Geld ausgibt, also Bro, jetzt mal ganz ehrlich, dem ist halt sowieso nicht zu helfen. Also wenn man das kritisiert, da muss man halt jedes Placement auf YouTube kritisieren, was irgendeine App bewirbt. Also unter anderem auch mich, deswegen kann ich hier auch nichts anderes sagen. Was sagt ihr aber dazu? Findet ihr das von Knossi in Ordnung oder sagt ihr auch, nee, da hast du dich unter Wert verkauft? Lustigerweise wurde ich auch dafür angefragt, aber da sich das nicht ergeben hat, sage ich hier einfach mal, dass ich Nein gesagt habe, um mich sympathischer zu machen. Deswegen schreibt eure Meinung in die Kommentare und wir kommen zum nächsten Thema. Monte und Memo haben jetzt wieder ein gemeinsames Video hochgeladen. Monte und Memo waren ja früher sozusagen beste Freunde, bis die sich dann irgendwann gestritten haben. Da gibt es auch noch alte Clips, zum Beispiel in diesem Video hier, wo Memo Monte einige Vorwürfe gemacht hat. Anscheinend ging es damals darum, dass die irgendwie zusammen nach Malta auswandern wollten. Dann ist irgendwie Memo ausgewandert, aber Monte wollte nicht. Irgendwie so lief das damals, ist auch nicht so wichtig. Schon vor einiger Zeit hat dann Monte im Stream nochmal über Memo geredet und da hat er Folgendes gesagt.
Memo und ich haben großen Streit gehabt. Jetzt nicht so auf, ich hau dir in die Fresse, du haust mir in die Fresse, das meine ich nicht. Wir haben sehr viele Missverständnisse, sehr viele Ungereimtheiten in unserer Freundschaft gehabt. Als Memo mir geschrieben hat oder ich Memo geschrieben habe, wenn man jemanden etwas gefragt hat oder etwas mitbekommen hat, dann hat man trotzdem geantwortet und nicht ignoriert. Ich habe Memo vor 2 Wochen oder so getroffen. Das erste Mal habe ich ihn das erste Mal wieder von Gesicht zu Gesicht gesehen beim Friseur. Wir werden wahrscheinlich nie wieder die Freundschaft haben, wie wir sie früher hatten. Aber trotzdem haben wir uns eine halbe Stunde unterhalten und ich habe ihn gefragt, wie es ihm geht, wie es seinem Kind geht, was er bekommen hat jetzt. Ich bin kein Mensch, der für immer Hass im Herzen haben möchte. In den meisten Fällen, und das wisst ihr selber genauso gut wie ich, sind Streitigkeiten unter Freunden, unter Familie Kleinigkeiten, die nicht geklärt werden, weil Leute dickköpfig sind. Solche Dinge kann man immer verzeihen. Man muss nur mal über seinen Schatten springen, Digga.
Und jetzt haben sie tatsächlich gemeinsam ein Video hochgeladen. Und zwar haben sie natürlich Essen getestet.
Aber heute ganz mit besonders. Ganz besonders, Digga, der im Hintergrund schon am Lachen ist. Ihr kennt ihn alle noch, wie in alten Zeiten. Memo mit 5 O.
Und ja, das finde ich auf jeden Fall sehr, sehr cool, dass die ihre Streitigkeiten abgelegt haben. Finde ich auf jeden Fall ein sehr, sehr nices Comeback. Was sagt ihr aber dazu? Findet ihr das auch cool? Ist es euch egal? Und was sagt ihr dazu, dass Monte jetzt doch wieder Fleisch isst? Er ist auf dem richtigen Weg, Digga. Dafür gibt es den Win der Woche. Ja, und wir kommen zum letzten Thema. Alicia Joe hat ein sehr gutes Video für Bibis Beauty Palace hochgeladen. Dabei allerdings auch Rezo und Sascha kritisiert. Bibis Beauty Palace hat letzte Woche eine Aktion mit Peter an den Start gebracht, bei der Edeka für ihre Tierhaltung kritisiert worden ist. Das Ganze hatte Bibi vorher schon auf Instagram angekündigt, ohne aber zu sagen, um was es genau geht. Sie hat in ihrer Story mal so ein heulendes Video hochgeladen. Dann gab es noch dieses gebrochene Herz mit der Unterschrift, oh, es macht mich so sauer. Oder ich feiere den Top-Kommentar übrigens. Falls es dich juckt, bin gerade auf der Arbeit zusammengebrochen und ja, nur wenn es dich juckt, sorry wenn nicht. Das ist so ein Twitter und Junge, ich feiere das halt so hart, ne? Bibi hat dann auf jeden Fall irgendwann ihre Auflösung hochgeladen und die Leute sind erst davon ausgegangen, dass, keine Ahnung, irgendwer ist gestorben, irgendwas Krasses ist passiert. Ja, leider ging es dann doch nur um die miese Tierhaltung in Deutschland. Und hier muss ich auch einfach mal ganz kurz den Top-Kommentar kritisieren. Der schreibt nämlich, wo bleibt deine Wut und Trauer, wenn es um hungernde Kinder in Gaza geht? Solche Kommentare regen mich halt jedes Mal so enorm auf. Darf man jetzt kein anderes Problem mehr auf dieser Welt ansprechen, außer das Gaza-Thema oder was? Und warum dann die Kinder in Gaza? Warum nicht die uigurischen Kinder, die in China in konzentrationsartigen Lagern gehalten und gerade einen Genozid überstehen müssen? Warum dann nicht die Kinder, die in irgendwelchen afrikanischen Bürgerkriegen gerade am laufenden Band als Kindersoldaten eingesetzt oder ebenfalls getötet werden? Also Leid kann man nicht miteinander aufwiegen und ich will auch nicht sagen, dass in Gaza kein Leid passiert oder dass die Kinder dort gar nicht leiden, aber dieses ständige Ablenken von irgendeinem Thema, weil man vielleicht selber für sich etwas wichtiger findet, ist halt so strunzdumm. Wirklich, das triggert mich jedes Mal so enorm. Sascha hatte dazu dann ein Video gemacht, worauf Rezo reagiert hat und Alicia Joe hatte daran vor allem 3 Kritikpunkte. Und der erste ist, warum wurde eigentlich ausgerechnet Edeka